How are you, Brother Nashi? Please hide my identity. I will call myself Lerato. I am 31 years old today, but my story started when I was still young, and I thought that money was the only thing that could fix every family problem. Today, I am much poorer than I used to be, but at least I have peace, and I will never exchange my peace for the money that I used to be given by my blesser. I grew up in Soweto. My mother was a person that loved me, but my mother, she had a problem. And this problem, I can say that it started after my mother had lost my father. My father, he was the strongest person in the family. He loved with all of his heart. And my mother, she suffers from bipolar. And she is someone that is always suffering from depression and anxiety. So the only safe place that she had was when she was with my father. My father used to go with my mom to work. Even my father's bosses, they knew about my mother's problems. There were times when my dad would have to go to work in places like your Cape Town, leaving us in Joburg. My mom, she would cry every day. Each and every day she would cry. It was as if she was the child and me and my brothers, we were the parents, because we had to comfort her and to tell her that things were going to be okay. So by the time that my dad passed away, my mother then started to gamble. We did not know that my mom, she was developing this addiction of gambling. Gambling was the only place where she felt as if she was safe, but she was losing money. She did not want us to know that she was losing all of this money. At first, when we heard that this was what she was doing, we just thought that it was a phase. She was just using gambling to forget about the death of my father. So we just laughed. We would say, "Mother, you're going to be okay." She would play lotto. We would explain it to her that it is very difficult to win a lotto, but things started to get worse and worse. This was much later on in life when things started to become very difficult. I still remember on this other day, I had sent my mother to go and buy some groceries in town. My mother then returned back with nothing, and I had hustled for that money. When my mom came back, I then asked him what had happened to the money. So she had met other guys that were playing a game in town where they put 3 cups, and they tell you that in between those 3 cups, amongst the cups, there was one hidden little marble ball inside, and you had to guess which one was it. So my mom then went there to play with the money that I had given to her for groceries, thinking that she was going to win and she would buy a lot of groceries, but she lost all of that money. And all the money will just get finished. She started to sell stuff. She would lie to you that, this TV is no longer working. I am going with this TV to someone so that they can repair it. You will never see that TV again. Fridges, microwave. Eventually, I found out that my mother had put her house in danger because of these debts, because the moment that she realized that she could go to this other machonisa to get some money, she would go there. Even her ID, she lost her ID. It was staying with the machonisa, including a bank card. Whenever there was money, the loan shark would go and withdraw. And these loan sharks, they started wanting to take the house. They would come to the house threatening to shoot my mother, threatening, saying that they wanted their money. One day, I found my mother. I still remember that day. She was sitting on the floor, and then she was looking at me, and she was like, "My daughter, Lerato, I've destroyed everything. I just want to die. It is better that I die. You and your brothers, you're going to be better off if I am not your mother. If I am no longer living, it is better that I join my husband because I can't survive anymore." When she was talking like that, saying that she was about to commit suicide because she felt as if there was a dark blanket that was covering her face and she could not see anything properly, and she just wanted to rest. She could not take it anymore. In my heart, there was so much pain. I was even crying when my mother was telling this. I promised myself that I was going to help my mother. It did not matter how I was going to do it. All that mattered was that I was going to assist my mother. A few months later, I went with my friends to a certain club in Senton. I had no money, I had nothing. I just wanted to forget my problems, just even for one night. That was when I met this guy. He was a foreign guy that had came from Cameroon. So this guy, his name, he was Alan. He was a Cameroonian. He was not South African. When I met this guy through a friend, I started to like him because he told me what he wanted in life and what he expected from me. So this was not going to end up like a one night stand. He was a man that knew what he wanted in life and he had chosen me. He said that he wanted to be with me as long as I was not going to play around with his heart. And I said, no, I am not going to play with your heart if you promise that you're going to take care of me. I told him about my problems that I was facing at home, and he started to understand. This man, when we were inside of that club, I saw that he was a man that had money because even the waiters, everyone just knew him. I later found out that indeed he was a man that had a lot of money, but he did not even show it. Even the clothes that he was wearing, you would not even see that this guy is loaded. He has a lot of money. Later on, he then told me that he had businesses here in South Africa as well as he had other businesses that he had in his country. I was even thinking about moving with him to his country because he was telling me that he once dated a South African woman and they went and they stayed together. Unfortunately, that woman ended up sleeping with his dad and then they got a divorce. I was like, oh, that one, she was very bad. This guy, he had money, he had cars, and this made me to believe that I had finally found the man that I had been looking for all of my life. After a couple of weeks, when we were dating, we were sleeping in his bed, and then he said to me, he was going to give me an offer. He said that the offer that he was going to give to me, he was going to give me at least 34,000 rands each and every month. You know, he just said it casually, and 34K, it was a lot of money that I had never seen in my entire life. I was at a loss of words. The money was bigger than the salary of all the people that I knew. I thought that it was joking, and maybe since we had just had intense sex and that was why he was talking about all these things that he was not going to do. But he said that, no, I'm going to give you 34K each and every month. And I said, God, indeed, I have seen that you are there in heaven. Today you have shown me mercy. But there was a rule that he gave to me. Shortly after that happiness, he then started to tell me about the rules that I had to follow in order for him to continue giving me this money. He said that when I give you money, I want you to eat that money. I do not want you to save even a single rand. You are not supposed to save anything. Once I give you money, I want you to spend it. Do not renovate your mother's house. Do not start a business. All this money, it must be finished within 10 days. This guy, I thought that he was lying. The first time when I got this money, I used about 20K. Then I spoke with my brother and I said, let us save some of the money, but with other hidden expenses, we ended up saving 5K. This money, it was staying with my brother. It was cash in his room. I tried to save that money, but I don't know what happened. We had a big fight with my brother when I went to him and then I told him that I wanted some of that money that we had saved because there was something that had came up and I wanted to use the money. My brother went to that spot which he claimed where he had put the money and he just looked at me and he said, hey, there is no money here. I said, what are you talking about? I gave you money. Where is my money? We had a big fight and I said, okay, he ate my money. The second time around, I gave this money to my mother. I remember swearing at my mother saying, "You are so cruel and heartless. Your daughter has given you money, but what do you do with that money? You go and you gamble with that money." I still remember my mother, she was crying, saying, "My daughter, I did not go and gamble with this money. Is it not that when I want money to go and gamble with, I beg you to give me money, and when you say no, it is a no. When you say yes, it is a yes. Since when did I start stealing your money? Ever since you were still young. Do you think that this is the first time ever seeing you with money? I have never done that. I did not steal the money." So I thought that my family, they were cruel and ruthless. This money, it was being given to me cash. I would try to save it, but something will come out. My mother will get sick and I had to use all of that money. Within 10 days, 34K is gone. I buy food and we just do wasteful expenditure at home. The food that you buy, it's gone. You do not even know what is happening. I then went back to my blesser and I told him that the money that he was giving to me, it seemed as if it was not enough. He laughed and he said, "No, this money, it is not meant to be saved. You just enjoy the money, babe. Go buy clothes, buy perfume, bags, drink alcohol, go with me, book for a hotel so that we can enjoy." And from there on, I started to live a life like I was a millionaire, yet I was not. Each and every month, and when that 34K would land into my hands, I would go out, I would shop. Within 2 days, that money, it is gone. On my Instagram page, whenever I go back, when I look at my pictures, I used to slay. I used to buy the most expensive clothes. And once you start to slay, you have these fake friends that are always surrounding you. That is what was happening at that time. I had these fake friends that surrounded me that acted as if they were there because they liked me, but they were there because of the opportunity of them knowing that we have a friend who can go with us and we can go and we can drink alcohol all night long. No need for blessings, because I would spend more than 10K on a single night. When it was a month end and it's a weekend, we would go and blow money, 20K in one night. It is gone. And the ladies that were my friends, they knew that I was someone that was dating a rich blesser. So there was something that happened. I had a cousin brother of mine. This cousin brother of mine, he wanted to go and work at this other mine, but he was scammed in the end. He wanted to go and work at Sivanye. And then there was this other man who was staying in Soweto who claimed that he had connections there and he wanted money. So the money that they wanted, it was 18,000 that you pay upfront. So I paid that money, and by doing this, I did not know that I was investing in the future of my cousin brother. My brother, he went to sleep and he never woke up again. That is how he died. As the relatives started to go to different sangomas, they were being told that I was having like a tokoloshi. I was like, a tokoloshi? I don't have a tokoloshi. Why are you saying that I have a tokoloshi? At my age, even some of the family members, they will be like, there is no such thing like that. This is still a young girl. Where could she have gotten this tokoloshi from? But the sangomas, they were unable to provide a concrete answer. On my own side, that dead brother of mine, I started to see him clearly in my dreams. I would see him that this is my brother right now, and he is coming to me. His face is full of blood and he's holding a clay pot that is full of blood. I did not understand what was the meaning of these dreams. And then I went to a sangoma. When you go to a sangoma, what people do not know is that you open up a spiritual door, even though there are doors that spiritually closed. But when you go to a sangoma, then there are doors that will be opened spiritually. When I went to that sangoma, I was then given some herbs that I was supposed to use each and every night. And then when I was using those herbs, that was when I started to hear the voice of my brother, even in broad daylight. He then told me that he was at this other house in Ghana. I said, what are you doing in Ghana? He then said that your boyfriend is the one that killed me. He's afraid of his relatives. So what he did is that he removed his shrine from Cameroon and then he went to Ghana. He bought a property at that house. There are only ghosts, the spirit of the people that he has sacrificed, including his father. We are staying in that house. He then said that each and every person that he sacrificed, there is a clay pot that will be full of blood. I was surprised by this revelation. I then went to another Sangoma. I did not understand what was happening. I told the Sangoma everything and they said to me, my daughter, you are being used. That is why you love these men from West Africa, because they use you for rituals. I said, I do not understand. That man, he then said to me, since you do not understand, I am going to give you a charm. This charm that I am going to give to you, it is going to reveal everything to you. You are going to see everything. I was then given a charm and then I went to Springfield. That is where my boyfriend told me that he wanted to meet me in Springfield. So when I went there to his house, I had those charms. I had been told to always bath with those charms before having sexual intercourse with my boyfriend. So I did as I had been instructed to do. When I was about to sleep with him, I first rushed to the bathroom and I washed my private parts with that charm. My boyfriend, he did not sleep with me on that night. He said, I'm tired. We did not become intimate. A day later, he then told me that he was going to leave me for a week. He wanted to go somewhere else. I accidentally opened a wardrobe in that same house and then I saw that there was a python. This python, it was sleeping on top of a bag that was full of money. This snake was wearing a traditional beaded wristband and it also had something, I don't know what it was, at the end of its tail. I really do not know how to explain it, if it was a skin of an animal or what. So I just left and I returned back to Soweto. When I returned back to Soweto, the blesser, I called him and I told him the things that I had seen in his house. Guess what he said? He said, okay, so do you still want to be with me or not? I was like, dude, I saw a snake in your house and all that you are concerned about is, do you still love me or not? I'm just telling you the things that I saw in your house. Are you not even concerned? He kept on asking me. I said, do you still love me or you do not? And then I could not respond. He then dropped the phone. And that was the end of our relationship. When I told my mother about this, she was worried. She was like, my daughter, what is going to happen to you? But I said, God is going to protect me. And that is how I dated a blesser that had a snake that protected his money. And on top of that, I sacrificed my own cousin brother because of the love of money. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister. Let us speak with our dear sister in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'll be back with another episode.